Commissioner Zuber, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly, Commissioner Bennett,
Present.
Commissioner Okun,
Here.
Commissioner Perkins, Commissioner Graham Hudak, Commissioner Eggenberger,
Here.
Commissioner Zuber here, and Chairman Green.
Here.
And let the record reflect that Commissioner Engel is again not with us. Not to judge.
Did the again have to be included in
No,
there?
sorry.
Oh, okay.
Strike that
I just
again.
wondered if that was a little commentary there. And of course, we have our planning staff, their community planner Jeff Gallet and Connie Wade. And welcome to you all. And tonight, we have 4 agenda items, 3 of which are public hearings. Public hearings are very conducive to what we do up here, if you care to join us. We do share in your ideas and actually take them into regard as to what we're planning on up here in our decision-making. So if you hear any of this and want to come to the podium and speak, please be brief, give your name and address, and let us know what you think. If you have questions, we can try to answer those for you as well. So with that said, we do have minutes from our January 8th meeting. Do I hear a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
Okay, we've got a motion by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Okun. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that done. We have an agenda item, as I said, of 4 items. And is there any late additions from staff? Anything to add from the commission? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to accept this agenda as stated?
Support.
Okay. That was, oh, okay, all right.
Commissioner Graham
Hudak. It was so faint, I could hardly hear
Sorry.
it.
He was
All right,
like
we've got
off
a
in
motion
another-
by
I didn't wanna-
Commissioner Graham Hudak and support by Commissioner Perkins? C, okay, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so our first public agenda item tonight is the Bickford of Canton. We're considering a final PDD, which this property is located west of Canton Center between Hanford and Ford. Jeff, could you tell us more?
Yes, this is the final PDD for Bickford of Canton Assisted Living Facility. The project is located on 3.67 acres of a 7-acre site on the west side of Canton Center Road between Hanford and Ford Road. The project is 40,700 square feet and 64 assisted living units. This was approved in November by the Board of Trustees as a preliminary plan. So basically the final agreement and final concept plans back before you. They have still a little bit of work to do on the site plan, so that'll be back in final form for site plan approval next month. So the plan that you have in front of you still has a few adjustments to be made in terms of some of the architectural treatments and the landscape plan, so that'll be back before you. But from a conceptual standpoint and PDD, it's fine. If you recall, this was originally a minor PDD that came to you. They had to expand it a little bit, which took it over into a major PDD, so that's why this has to go through a second public hearing for a final major PDD. The use is complementary to the medical uses on Canton Center Corridor and provides a use which is underserved in the Canton market. We discussed some of the traffic issues at the last public hearing. Traffic generation is projected to be less than typical office or commercial uses that can be developed on right by the site. This is the 5-lane section of Canton Center. You know, the county, when they get a driveway permit application, will take a look at the geometrics for the driveway orientation and layout of the drive approach. The building is a single-story brick and stone building with some siding, high-end architectural finishes. The project sponsors provided a brochure to you, which kind of gives you what the building will look like in color and some interior renderings of some of what the rooms will look like from an assisted living facility. Be very, very nice. Be a good fit for Canton and serve our aging population and their families, as we move on and our demographics change a little bit. So Mr. Eby is here today to answer any questions you have on the final plan development, but otherwise it's pretty similar to what you saw back in October, November of last year, and staff would recommend approval of the final PDD.
Thank you, Jeff. I noticed they even let us know what the bus looks like. It's quite extensive. Okay, so this is a public hearing, so do I hear a motion to open a public hearing for this project?
So moved.
Okay, we've got a motion by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Perkins to open the public hearing. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, public hearing is open at 7:05. And I'm going to go right, well, the project sponsor is here.
Mr. Eby is here if he wants to come up to the.
Is there
podium.
anything that you'd like to add? You want to come up to the podium, please?
Well, thank you.
Welcome.
I had originally tried to send a PowerPoint presentation to Jeff, but unfortunately it was too large and didn't go through. So as a result, that's the reason you have the booklets here this evening. I just wanted to make sure everybody had a pictorial view of what the project looked like, what the building would look like. This is our very typical building. And so I printed off some copies of that, and if we wanted to leaf through that very quickly. First page is the typical building, and this would be the view that you would see of our building from Canton Center Road. The second page is the typical site, our site plan for this site. And we do notice that along the northern boundary of the property, there is I'll call it a conservation area. I think it's a designated wetland from a previous development that will perpetually remain green. So we do have that 50-foot green buffer in addition, which will make it seem a little more open. Also to the rear of the property, we have Fellow Creek with its extensive vegetation will help serve as screening. There is an emergency lane that was required by the fire department to access all sides of the building. If you notice on the next page, I have there blocked out where the subsurface detention is. That was a question that was brought up at the last meeting, kind of what is subsurface detention, because it is kind of a new way of managing stormwater runoff. And you can see the area of our parking lot where that subsurface detention will be and how it will discharge into Fellows Creek. On the next page, you see some illustrations showing what the stormwater detention basins look like. They're basically large pipes that store the water temporarily and then slowly release it at a controlled rate into the creek. On the next page, we also have the end sections where it will discharge into Fellows Creek. We also show the vortex separator, which will help to remove sediment and debris. So it's a method of treating the water before release. The next page is a picture of our typical bus. We call it Howie, but one of the
Howie?
questions, yeah.
Call it?
Yeah, it was happiness, can't remember what the acronym is right now. You caught me on that. Oh,
Of course.
and one of the questions that came up last time was whether we would have an impact on your transportation system that you provide for many of your seniors, and we address that through this, I believe it's about a 15-passenger bus that is handicapped accessible. It does have the lift ramps and so forth. The next page is, I just thought it was a really neat shot because it's a drone shot of one of our buildings in Richmond, Virginia. And then on the following pages, we have the two elevation views of what it would look like from Canton Center Road. Then the northern elevation, what the building would appear like typically along the north side of the building, and that'd be next to Fraser's bike shop. And then the west elevation, that would be the side that would back up to Fellow Creek and would be partially screened, and I believe in Jeff's comments for architectural modifications, he's requesting some additional brick and stone along the back side of the building also, which we will comply with. And then we have the south elevation.
Sorry to interrupt you. These are actually photos of similar buildings rather than the
Yes,
actual,
yes,
a real
yeah.
model of this building?
Yes,
Okay,
right.
because I'm trying to make sense of the plan and elevation, or
Mm-hmm.
photos. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And then on the next page, you see a variety of architectural elements that really accent the architectural detail for the building. You know, the fact that we have precast sills and lintels at the windows, you know, shutters. We have most of our building materials, hard surfaces, are hardy. They're a cementatious board and very durable. The next is a photograph of resident rooms, what they would look like. These are very similar buildings and are a prototype. And then we have the interior courtyards. We have 2 interior courtyards, one for our memory care area and the other one's for the assisted living. And then the remainder are common areas that are shared by all residents. For example, the common living rooms, the common dining areas, the salon, and so forth. And so with that, I'd answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you very much. First question I have off the bat, is there a particular reason in your graphic here, the roof lines are not shown from the overhead view? I mean, it's a minor point,
Oh.
because I know it's a residential-looking building, I can see the elevations, and we knew that.
Oh.
It's just that, you know, just to see the look of the building in terms of the roof lines. It looks like a flat roof building.
Yeah. That's a good
Yes,
question.
no, they were not included.
Okay,
This was the pictorial that you're speaking of was actually generated by the landscape architect, so he was more interested on the landscape
Gotcha.
details.
okay.
So,
Looks like a very nice building. Before we go to the commission any further, I'm going to ask if anyone in the audience would like to speak on this, since it is a public hearing. Any comments, questions, anything at all on this project?
And if you'd like to look through the,
If you'd like to borrow
packet.
one of these and look through it, be happy to
Fast.
share that with you. No?
move to close the public hearing.
Got a motion to close the public hearing at 7:14 by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Perkins. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We're going to start down at this end and ask.
Actually, this is a
Any
question
comments?
for Jeff. So I noticed that this looks like a couple of our other seniors' places. Are we trying to keep the architecture the same? Like, it looks like Heartland in a way, which is on Lily Road, and, I mean, I noticed you said it matches the Canton Center corridor, but are we, like,
Well, I think when you deal with a one-story building, you're going to get a similar look. You know, they're adding gable features. They're all a little bit different. You know, I think recently we've seen a lot of stone accents to these buildings, which we didn't see 10 years ago. I think that's just something that's more current in architectural design today. So he's got, you know, overhangs on the windows and copper elements over the, you know, windows and things, which we haven't seen on other buildings, which kind of gives it more shadow lines and dimensionality to it. So, you know, they're all going to be, I mean, you have a large institutional building that's one story with a roof line. There's only so many different ways to decorate it, I guess, so, but, so.
I visited a number of them, and it looks very similar. Okay, and then there's just sidewalk going across on Canton Center, right, from the overhead picture that I saw?
Yeah, there's sidewalk required along Canton Center. So.
All right, thanks.
Okay, Commissioner Eggenberger,
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Zuber.
I think it looks fabulous. The interior shots are really nice. Is the bistro open to the public by any chance? Looks really nice, yeah.
Commissioner Perkins?
I don't have anything, thanks.
Commissioner Oken?
Looks like a great project. No questions.
Commissioner Bennett?
I agree with the rest of the commission. It looks really nice. I don't have any questions.
Okay, and I would concur. This is a very nice project. You know, we had concerns about the drainage, and you've answered those questions, and I think that that should not be a problem there. And the appearances, because it's residential, I think because it basically backs up to a residential area, it should be no problem for what they see out of their back windows. This looks like a good project, and it obviously meets a need, a growing need in our community in terms of the aging population. So I hope that this gets passed and passed through. I'd like to see it going. And with that said, do I hear a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we move to recommend approval of the proposed final plan development of the north 3.67 acres of tax parcel 037-99-0006-717 of Bickford of Canton Senior Living.
Support.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Oken and support by Commissioner Bennett. Do we have any more discussion needed on this project? Sounds like we're all in pretty much concurrence on that. Commissioner Zuber, would you call the vote, please?
Certainly, Commissioner Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Okan,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham Hudak,
Yes.
Commissioner Eggenberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Zuber, yes, and Chairman Green.
That's a yes. So we go forward. Jeff, what's their next step?
This will go to the final, for the final PDD has to be approved by the board, and then he executes the agreement. So next month, he should be in with the final version of the site plan, which will be the final architectural renderings and the final landscape plan.
Awesome, awesome. Good luck to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is the Primrose of Canton, where we're considering a special land use approval, which for this property is located east of Canton Center Road and south of Cherry Hill. Jeff, could you tell us more?
Yes, this is a project just up the street here, just south of Bush's Marketplace. It's a proposal to develop 12,000 square foot preschool on 1.72 acres of a 3-acre site located east of Canton Center and south of Cherry Hill. As I said, it's just to the south of Bush's. The site will be provided access to Canton Center from a private road utilizing the existing curb cut as shown on the plan. You can see kind of a flag parcel there that exists. Bigger so you can see it. So essentially this area along the north side, just to the south side of Bush's, will be the private road. So the daycare will be the east side of that. There's a small office parcel that'll be retained in between the Canton Center pad, which was originally a bank site that was sold off, and a future office building. So this will be split when they bring in a site plan for it. It'll be split off with a private road approval. Basically, the daycare center has to meet certain guidelines when it's adjacent to residential. They have to meet a certain setback from existing residential. They have residential abutting themselves to the east and to the south. They have to maintain setbacks to the playground area and other buffer yards, for the daycare center, and they have to meet a certain size playground center to serve the children that'll be going there by our code and by state code. The preliminary plan meets all of the site design requirements for a daycare in our code, including the setbacks and buffers. It's a one-story brick structure again, so it's very residential in nature, mostly almost 100% brick on this one. I think they have very little other than the gable ends that are sided, so it should be, fit in nice with the neighborhood, which are mostly 2-story houses to the south and to the west, or to the east. So we would, staff recommends approval. They meet all the general criteria. I didn't include all of those in my staff write-up. I've attached their responses to the special land use criteria in your packet, so it's self-explanatory, but they do meet all of the general criteria for special land use and the specific criteria for daycare centers, and staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there staff or is there project representation here?
Yes, we have Metro Consulting, is our township engineer, if you want to come to the podium and
Welcome.
Candace, so.
Yes, before you get started, do I hear a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved. Support.
Got a motion to open the public hearing by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Eggenberger. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are open at 7:20. Welcome.
Hi, so my name is Candace Breyer. I work with Metro Consulting Associates. We're the civil engineer on this project. I'm also here with Carla Cooper, who is from the corporate Primrose Schools in Georgia, as well as the local franchisees. They also own a couple other Primrose facilities in the area and operate them, so they're here to answer any questions you might have about the facility or their operations or the building itself. As far as the site, Jeff did a great job of explaining the project. We will be sharing the access point with whatever else the current owner decides to develop on the remaining property. We're working with the owner as kind of a joint project to get that access point developed so that the site plan for that road, for that access point will come in as part of our site plan package once we get through the special land use process. The stormwater, we're going to detain via an underground system under the parking lot, so we'll manage that way. I believe there's already a sanitary sewer service lead to this property, so we'll be connecting to sanitary sewer that way. There's water available that we'll be connecting to. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. Awesome. With that said, I'm going to go to the audience and ask if there's any comments or concerns, any questions. Going once, going twice. Do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second? Is it that louder?
Who seconded that? Oh, there we go.
Louder that time.
I got to adjust my hearing aids. Yes, got a motion by Commissioner Zuber and seconded or support by Commissioner Graham Hudak. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have closed the public hearing at 7:22. Okay, so we'll go to the commission. We'll start down with Commissioner Bennett. Any comments, concerns on this project?
No.
Commissioner Oken?
I'm all set, thank you.
Commissioner Perkins?
All good.
Commissioner Zuber?
Looks good.
Commissioner Eggenberger?
No questions, thank you.
And Commissioner Graham Hudak?
So we're looking at a second access point. If you were to get it where you would like it, where would it be? I mean, you said that right now there's only one entrance and exit,
Right.
correct?
All three parcels will end up sharing that common private drive. So instead of having another friction point on
A curb
Canton
cut.
Center, they'll be coming out and using the driveway as shown. That'll be the private road.
I believe that
So
driveway's all
the
already
bank
there.
site on the corner, which isn't a bank yet, which is still owned by a bank, will also use that instead of having their own driveway. So everybody will be using the same driveway
Come in behind then, correct?
to the side, so.
I know a lot of the daycare centers, you could, at 6 o'clock, you see the parents trying to get it in and out on some of the roads. It's very difficult. Okay. So when will that be decided then?
When the site plan comes in, the owner of the property that's selling them the east portion of it will basically be bringing in a site plan for the private road at the same time. The front piece is owned by somebody else. That was sold off years ago for a bank that never got developed. But they're obligated to use that private road too. So when Canton Center was widened, the county left that drive cut there knowing that that would be extended back to serve, at least two sites. So, but the owner of the property, the daycare didn't need the entire parcel. He's going to put a small, that's where you see the, kind of the pavement going on to the adjacent piece here. That'll be kind of a shared, so they have to put in access to get around to the parking. So this area will be shared with the office that'll be built ultimately here. So that'll be a separate site plan that comes in at a later time when he decides to do the small office building. So essentially, everybody will access, their parking lots will all access the east-west private road. So
All right, thank you.
there'll be enough width at that private road to get a turn lane in.
Oh, there
So
will,
when they
okay.
design that, they'll have to design that to get a turn lane in and out, probably. Wayne County will require that to be a commercial width driveway with a turn lane out.
When you say turn lane, what do you mean?
A stacking lane, so people aren't all stacked up, so be a left turn stacking lane to get out. So people that are going right will have their lane, people going left will have their lane. So people who are turning right won't be obstructed by people that are waiting to turn left. It is a 5-lane road, so people have to, wait for gaps in the traffic to get out from a left-hand turn standpoint.
So the fact that you graphically showing that kind of
Well, they don't show us,
getting narrow up there in
Well,
the middle section does.
at
that's-
Canton Center Road, it'll be wider to allow for a left turn stacking lane.
No, yeah,
So when they get the site plan, you'll see the striping plan to see how all that works. Right now, they're just showing it schematically.
right, I understand, but it would, Commissioner Graham Hudak brings an interesting point. There's not gonna be a lot of traffic here, but when it does happen, it's gonna happen pretty much at the same time, in the morning and in the afternoon. So a lot of going in, a lot of going out, and having a narrow drive-through there. I don't know how narrow that really is, but I'm just saying, looking at that.
It'll have to meet commercial drive widths, so it has to be
It's-
30 feet wide through there.
At the narrowest, it's 2 lanes, and then
Yeah.
at the wider point, it's 3
3
lanes.
lanes.
Okay.
So there's one coming
There's-
in and 2 going out, 1 in each direction.
A private road generally has to be 27 feet wide, a typical road width. We generally require commercial drives because they're carrying garbage trucks and other service vehicles to be a little bit wider at 30 feet. So at the road, it may have to be 36 feet to get 3 12-foot lanes in, 1 in, 2 out. So we'll look at that, and part of this is going to be what Wayne County requires in the Canton Center Road right-of-way for that cross-section in terms of how wide that gets to be at Canton Center Road. Internally, we'll need to decide based on the amount of driveways connecting in there in terms of what the actual profile of that road's going to be.
Okay, all right, thank you. Commissioner Graham Hudak, was that it for you?
Yeah, I guess just one more question. Is there a possibility that a light might be put there also?
Absolutely not.
Ooh.
It's too close to
Too
Cherry
close
Hill
to
Road.
Cherry Hill,
So,
yeah.
we have other commercial driveways. The 2 driveways from Bush's will carry a lot more traffic than this ever will. So, I mean, it's just, it's just another commercial drive, that comes out. There's no opposing driveways on the other side because that's a subdivision and it's pond area, so there's no opposing traffic on the west side. So you don't have that kind of friction with opposing left turns coming in and off of Canton Center at that point. So, Wayne County would never consider a light this close to the Canton Center Cherry Hill intersection. It's way too close.
We have a daycare center on Lily Road, just north of Cherry Hill, and it's the same thing, where you've got that one driveway when the parents coming in and exiting right at that point, and it is a mess in the morning and at night. And it's really close there too.
Just like any school traffic in the morning too, any elementary school, any daycare center that comes out. Generally, a lot of daycare centers, it's not as actually bad as a school because parents are dropping off over a longer period of time based on what their schedules are. But a lot of times it's before most peak hour traffic because they're dropping off kids on the way to work or before they go to work and picking them up after work. So, they'll do a traffic analysis as, part of the overall site plan process when they do the private road, and we'll look at it.
Well, at least the side road should help. It's not just one driveway. Okay, thanks.
I know that, that driveway apron is already there. Is there a potential problem, though, with that being so close to the Bush's driveway in terms of getting in and out? I mean,
It's a 5-lane road. I mean, and normally we would require a marginal access connection between the 2 commercial sites, and this, right now there's a big landscape berm there, so it's really not possible to connect those 2, but there's really no need to connect the 2 anyway, because if you're going from the daycare to the grocery store, you're turning right, you're not turning left. So, so you're not having to really, so Wayne County will look at the actual distance between driveways, because they do have some geometric standards in terms of how far driveways have to be apart along the road. So they'll have to meet the engineering standards for that, so.
was there ever a consideration of flip-flopping this north to south so that driveway was to the south side?
They don't own the property, Greg. The property to the south is owned by another entity. It's a different parcel. So essentially where the flag is here that's the parcel. So you can't move the driveway very much because it's 2 separate pieces of property. The best that we can do is get the bank site to connect into it so we don't have another driveway causing conflicts on Canton Center so close to that driveway. So we get all the commercial traffic. It's really not much different than where we've got Citizens Bank north of Roses. You've got a boulevard going in, and that driveway is serving the bank, plus it's serving everything behind it. So we try to consolidate driveways, to manage the traffic wherever we can. So in this particular case, many years ago, this property, if you remember, this was the old service station, the old oil change and service stations. That was a non-conforming use that got torn down. This property got rezoned to office to be a transition between the residential and the commercial. So what happened is, many years ago, this got split off. The banks, when the credit union bought that piece, they were going to build it, and that's all they bought, and they got split off from the rest of it. So they still own that piece, but they'll have a right to connect to the private road, but, unless they totally flipped, and worked with the credit union to basically redefine the parcels and resplit them, these are the two parcels we got to work with. So obviously the driveway, they have a right to put the driveway where they own the property. So,
Okay.
the best we could do is coordinate the access between the two parcels. So,
I noticed that you have you've designed the play areas, the outside play areas towards to the rear, which back up to people's backyards. Do you anticipate a lot of, noise and commotion from the kids and stuff? I mean, those residents there have been used to peace and quiet for a lot of years.
Our code requires a 75-foot setback to any adjacent residential building.
Okay.
So they've maintained that setback. They also have a 30-foot wide landscaped berm, 4-foot wide berm, and then there's a fence on the inside of the berm to enclose the playground area itself. So we changed our code quite a number of years ago due to noise issues when daycare centers had their playgrounds adjacent to residential. So since we've done that, we haven't had any complaints. So.
That's all the concerns that I had. Anything further from the commission?
Make a motion.
Go ahead.
I move to recommend approval of the request to approve the request. A little redundant there. For special land use for a child care center on part of parcel number 086990002-701 as proposed.
All right, Commissioner Zuber has a motion on the table, and it's been supported by Commissioner Perkins. Any further discussion on the motion? Commissioner Zuber, would you call the vote, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Commissioner Okon?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins? Yes. Commissioner Graham Hudek?
Yes.
Commissioner Eggenberger?
Yes.
Commissioner Zuber? Yes. And Chairman Green?
Yes, motion carries. And their next step is
Township Board.
Township Board.
And then site plan back to you when they're ready.
Okay, all right, thank you so much for working with us. Our next
luck.
agenda item is Life Covenant Church, where we're considering a site plan and special use approval for an outdoor recreational use. There's an existing property located at the northwest corner of Warren and Haggerty. Jeff, could you tell us more?
Yes, you've seen several requests from Life Church over the past several years. Let me get to it here. The proposal now is to take, there's a vacant area that Molise Enterprises owns that kind of their parking lot wraps around that they lease from Molise. They've gotten permission from Molise to use this open area there adjacent to Warren Road as a recreational area. So the proposal is, and let me bring it up. So they have to kind of, since they're adding additional facilities that weren't on the original special land use plan, they have to come back and get special land use for these additional elements on the church site. So. What they're doing, one component is to add a small pavilion, kind of band shell area adjacent to the parking lot, and then they've also added into the conceptual plan several recreational type fields to use, a sand volleyball court and some other type of ball court to use for the youth group at the church. So, staff is okay with the overall layout. Our only concern with the proposal was any potential noise to the adjacent neighborhoods, basically to the west along Warren Road, whether they were going to be using electronic, amplification devices, how often they were going to use it. David Garvey has provided an additional statement in addition to the original, to the additional application background questions they answered. in terms of the days they're going to be using it, how often they're going to be using it, and the nature of the use. So we've got both David and Steve Garvey, I think they're both Eagle Scout candidates. This is part of their Eagle Scout project that they want to do on behalf of the church. They're raising money to build this thing and put it in. And I'm going to let them explain to you what they're doing and let them answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you very much, Jeff. And while they come up, do I hear a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Got a motion to open the public hearing at 7:35 by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Perkins. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome. How are you doing today? Good.
My name is David Garvey, Steve Garvey, and we are working on our Eagle projects just outside of the area by Life Church. We call it the Green Space, where we'll be putting in a kind of pavilion band shell as my project.
And for my project, I'm having 3 recreational areas, a sand volleyball pit, and 2 others that are kind of hard to explain, but they're...
Good. Just speak a little bit closer to the mic so we can get your voice in there.
Sand volleyball pit, and then 2 other recreational areas that are different activity games that are a little hard to explain, but
Okay. Sounds like a worthy project. Okay. Are there any, we opened the public hearing, so any other further comments from the audience? All right. Do you want to close the public hearing?
Close the public hearing.
All right. Well, you guys have really got this down pat here, don't you? We've got a motion to close the public hearing at 7:36 by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Perkins. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Any comments from the commission? Sounds like a very worthy project for this to happen.
I have one question.
Yes, go ahead.
Maybe I've missed it, but is there a fence anywhere along Warren Road? Or, along Warren?
No, there's no fence. So.
I guess I'm just having trouble with determining how far, in my mind, how far 40 feet would be from, approximately the sand volleyball.
You've got they're almost probably, from the edge of the road, they're probably about 80, 90 feet from the edge of the road, so. Because the right-of-way jogs there, you can see the right-of-way jogs down, if you can see the jog on the right-of-way there, so they're quite a bit of ways from the edge of the road.
That's all I had.
And Steve and David, yeah.
The octangular shape is a gaga ball pit. It's a structure about, 4 feet high, but it's filled with sand and you hit a ball around it.
and the other one.
And then the square one is 9 square in the air. It's kind of like 4 square, but it's up above your head and you have to hit it up through the ropes and back into other people's squares.
You're going to be building all of these as part of your project? Okay.
So in the warmer months, it would be for like an 8 to 10 week period. It would be like on Wednesday evenings and Saturday evenings. So it'd probably only get like 20 uses a year. It's a pretty light load per year, but we expect it'll be used for many years. I mean, the residential area is more kind of this way, so it's pointing more toward the road than the residential area. But we, since we'd want to have people in front of the pavilion, we wouldn't want to point it at the recreational areas.
Because I have people sitting in front of the band shell in the green space, Alan, so.
We're really adjacent to IKEA, or not IKEA, to
Closest neighborhood,
Yazaki,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, the closest neighborhoods are off of Old Haggerty and to the west of Warren Road, or to the south of Warren Road, west of Old Haggerty. So.
Yeah, I mean, I
My old neighborhood.
don't look at that as a real big problem, but
At the aerial, so.
Yeah, if you go to the aerial, Copper Creek is probably the closest.
How far is it away from residential area?
This is the area here, so If we look at the aerial, let's enlarge this a little bit. So this is the green area here, so the band shell's here, the residential, nearest residential is way over here off of Old Haggerty, so probably a couple hundred yards across the parking lot from Yazaki.
Well, not sheltered, but pretty far apart.
Luckily, that time of year, most of the wind patterns are from the west, so it shouldn't be,
And there'll be a lot of
west,
trees.
they blow from west to east mostly, so.
Guys,
don't
I
have
mean,
much
Eagle
easterly
Scouts,
winds.
that's a big deal, and I know you've worked very hard on this, and I know when my kids work hard on projects, they like to talk about it. So tell us a little bit more, why you chose these projects, what this means, is it being an Eagle Scout, and
Well, we're part of the youth group at Life Church, and so it's something that'll impact us and our friends and kind of the future middle schoolers and high schoolers that are coming through. And then the other group that will use it is the young adults group that will eventually be a part of after high school. And so it's something that affects us and our friends and will be a positive impact for our church and our community. As far as becoming Eagle Scout, that's a big deal. It's something we've worked on for a long time, kind of going through the ranks, and it's been a great experience for us. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I was going to say that with our youth group, every week we bring out a pavilion, and we have a temporary 9 square in the air and a temporary volleyball court. And so with the permanent ones, we wanted to have a nicer courts, and so they could stay out there, so we didn't have to set up a tent.
helps you get an additional badge, or you guys?
Well, we're not we're not Eagle Scouts yet. We're Life Scouts, and so this is our project that is the central point of becoming an Eagle Scout, which is the highest.
Part of this has to do with planning the project, raising the money, getting the volunteers to help build it, getting contributions and building materials, all of those kinds of things,
Yeah,
right?
we've been working with an architect who worked on some of the stuff at the church when we renovated it. So it's a lot of leadership skills and fundraising and learning a lot about the management, doing things like this. Which
Learning about the zoning process.
Yeah, learning all kinds of things.
Well, you're to be commended for your involvement and diligence in going through all of this, even to the point of meeting with us, so I do appreciate that.
Helping to build it also? Physically then? Oh.
Yeah, and the things that wouldn't be safe for us to do, obviously, we are just overseeing. But as long as we're in charge of what's going on, it's our responsibility. Yeah.
They're the GCs.
So is everything you're making made out of wood? I was trying to get some of it. It looked like the pavilion is
Wood and
mostly
sand, yeah.
wood. And then the sand, I mean, this may be an odd question, but do you have something to prepare for the cats that might want to use the sand that's sitting around? Just something to think about.
There
I mean,
shouldn't be
we've
any
had
cats
issues
over
with
there.
geese and stuff, but it's never been anything
Cats are
too
supposed to be
bad.
on a leash.
Oh, perfect then.
Try telling the cats that.
So it sounds like in a lot of ways you've been using this area already, bringing the pavilion in and playing music at the pavilion?
Yes.
So it's not like we've heard any complaints?
Right, and we've been having picnics in the parking lot right next door for years and years, as long as we've been there, and we've never had anybody have any issues with the sound or, yeah, it's really a non-issue in that way.
Trying to make it all a permanent
Yeah,
structure for you.
yeah.
Great.
What is Gaga Ball?
So basically, you have like a dodgeball, and you hit it kind of like this, and you're trying to get somebody out by hitting it into their leg below their knee. And so you're trying to defend your legs and play around. It's kind of a camp game. So like the summer camp that we go to, it's a big deal there. It's a lot of fun.
But it's like dodgeball, but you're not throwing, you're hitting.
You're not throwing. You're
It's
It has to
dodgeball
be-
in a sand pit.
and
Oh,
you can
another sand pit.
bounce off the walls. Yeah.
Small sand pit.
Yeah, they love that. Those cats.
Awesome, okay.
Now, Jeff, you had written you were concerned about the noise, right? And
Right, yeah, that's really my only concern. I don't know what kind of amplification, whether they're going to have electronic amps and things out there projecting, the music. That was our big concern, is like how far is going to, is the travel gonna, is the noise gonna travel, and will we get complaints? So,
I assume that if it was too loud, we would just ask the nice young men to turn it down, and they would.
Okay. And we haven't had any issue with stuff that would be louder than what we're doing. Like, it won't exceed anything we've done before, so it shouldn't be an issue at all.
We haven't had any complaints so far.
not that I'm aware of, so.
Any further comments, questions from the commission? Any motions?
I'll make a motion. I move to recommend approval of the request to expand the special land use and site plan on parcel number 0469900033714 to add an outdoor stage and band shell and sports courts as shown on the plans.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Eggenberger. Do we have any further discussion on this motion? Seeing none, hearing none. Commissioner Zuber, would you call the vote?
Certainly, Commissioner Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Okun,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins, Yes. Commissioner Graham Hudak,
Yes?
Commissioner Eggenberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Zuber, yes, and Chairman Green.
Absolutely. Good luck to you and their.
We'll go to the
Yeah.
next board meeting for final
Job.
approval.
Good job,
Okay.
guys.
One
Good
more
job, yeah.
meeting.
That was not
To be
easy.
commended. Mhm.
All right, thank you very much, you did a great job, so.
All right, our fourth agenda item tonight is a site plan review. We're considering a final site plan for the property which is located west of Ridge Road between Cherry Hill and Ford. It's called West Ridge Estates of Canton Phase 3. Jeff, could you tell us more?
Yes, West Ridge community is a Toll Brothers development, has been underway for that past several years. Last spring, I think they put in Phase 2 of the project. They've been selling quite well. They're taking down the final phases of the project and will be developing the last 104 units, which will be constructed in 2 consecutive construction phases over the next year or so to complete the development. So this is 60.19 acres south of Ford between Ridge and Napier. All the engineering was approved. Actually, the engineering was approved with Phase 2, but they're developing this in phases. So the only thing that we need is financial securities from them before it goes to the Township Board next month. So we've got Mike Knowles and representative from Atwell, their consulting engineer here, if you have any questions about the final site plans.
Okay.
Some of the improvements in Phase 3 have already been completed, like the landscape berm along Napier Road, and their entry monuments and lighting are already in. So this is basically just development of the lots to either side of the main road that goes out to Napier.
Okay, all right. Gentlemen, anyone like to come up and say more? This is not a public hearing, so we don't need to open one. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Mike Knowles with Toll Brothers. I just wanted to come up and say hello because it's been
Hello.
a long time since I've been here. I told some of my associates today that we had 17 consecutive unanimous votes to approve our project, this particular project. We've had nothing but success out here. We're very pleased with the way that it's going. It's a very popular neighborhood. We've got a fantastic clubhouse, a great construction team, a great sales team, and we're looking for more property in Canton to fill our pipeline. So we ask for your continued support of our company and our projects and look forward to doing more here in Canton. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So who's going to vote against it this time?
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you tell us about your record so we would feel like,
Just as a dare.
Intimidation?
you know you're gonna like turn us?
You
aren't
just
you?
Intimidation
challenged them,
factor?
you know, so.
You didn't kind of catch our vibe up here the first 3.
Hearing us.
Well
Not
done.
as endearing as the Eagle guys.
Right.
Well, he's very confident because he didn't stay up there for any questions.
Yeah, really.
Do I hear any questions from the commission on this project? Are there any concerns, heartburn, anything at all?
The traffic, in terms of the traffic flow, you know, my favorite subject. Jeff, you want to comment on that? Just in terms
Well, you know, when they got the special land use for the cluster development several years ago, they addressed the traffic. They did a lot of traffic improvements along Ridge Road. They actually widened Ridge Road out at the intersection, along with widening out Ridge Road with the, common entrance they have with the subdivision to the east, Vintage Valley. So they met all the requirements and worked with Wayne County to get that whole area widened out so they could get the turn lane in at Ridge and Ford. So that was basically their contribution to the road improvements pursuant to their traffic analysis at the time. There are some existing deficiencies along Ridge Road. Those were existing deficiencies that were there before they came, into existence. For example, there is a light warranted at Salt's Ridge intersection there. That'll be Wayne County's responsibility. That was warranted before they started their project. But based on the original traffic analysis for the cluster development, when they first came in several years ago, they met all of those requirements and did all of those improvements on their dime. So,
That's all paved road around there, surrounding there at this point?
yes.
Are we on a list to get a traffic light there? I mean, is it prioritized?
Well, Wayne County know it's warranted. I don't think they've got it planned yet, so.
About how far out in the future that would be?
Nope. So it's something that, they've been made aware of when they received the traffic study that was done for this development. I don't think it's a high priority on their point, on their end. There's other intersections that we've asked them to look at that are more critical to evaluate first, like Palmer and Sheldon, it needs to be done. That light needs to be in, so.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard that, yes.
So
Okay. So
take one at a time here.
Agree with that.
So. Okay.
Else from the commission?
Quick question for Jeff. With it outletting onto Napier and half of Napier being Superior, are there any plans for paving over there, or?
This has been discussed on and off for a number of years. It's a county line road. This is actually a section that Wayne County is responsible for maintaining. They basically maintain alternate sections of Napier. So this is a section that Wayne County maintains. We talked about the need, potentially to pave this. This is a secondary entrance, for the development. The traffic study didn't show that it met warrants to be paved at the time. Generally, we require paving when the development causes the road to go over 1,000 trips per day. So their traffic study and their assumptions at the time, Wayne County was not going to require them to pave it. So,
At over 1,000 trips a day then?
in accordance with their traffic study and Wayne County's evaluation of the road, they said no. At some point in time, it may, but then it'll have to be on Wayne County's dime to take care of it. So, Wayne County evaluated the traffic analysis just like we did. They did a specific analysis of the assumed number of trips utilizing that road, when they came in. I guess if conditions change and more of their residents start using Napier Road, then it'll be a problem, just like Ridge Road has been in the past. But if there's no deficiencies at the time the development comes in, we can't require them, to do an off-site improvement that they aren't contributing to, so.
Had a lot of issues with Ridge Road recently, and it
Right.
ended up on our dime to pay for it.
Right. So,
Anything else? Well, I think then it calls for a motion.
Right. I move to recommend approval of the site plan for Phase 3 of Westridge Estates of Canton Site Condominium on tax parcel number 0699900100702 and 0699900100703, as proposed, subject to the provision of the required financial securities prior to review and approval of the Township Board. Yeah.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Perkins. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Any further discussion on that motion? Commissioner Zuber, would you call the vote, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Commissioner Okun?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Graham Hudek?
Yes.
Commissioner Eggenberger?
Yes.
Commissioner Zuber, yes. And Chairman Green?
Yes. Motion carries and goes forth to the trustees.
sometime in March, yeah.
Sometime-
For 18.
We appreciate you working in Canton. We appreciate it.
They
absolutely.
would really like you to pave Napier Road, right?
Yeah.
Right, let's add that as the addendum, I agree.
Okay, reports, discussion, correspondence, anything to talk about, Jeff? Anything new?
I have nothing.
You got nothing? Okay. How's the project coming on, across from Bell Tire? Are they
They've
gonna
got
do it?
they've got the culvert in. Wayne County will potentially be allowing them to use Maben Road temporarily until they open, later in the spring, and, until they.
Are we
they get-
catching any flack from the neighbors there
Yes.
on Maben?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Wayne County will have to monitor that. Right now, they don't have occupancy of the building yet. They're still doing final building walkthroughs and final punch lists, but they are working on the driveway. They do have the culvert set, so that's in process, so.
Will the daycare be actually used before the bridge goes over?
Potentially, yes. They have to get approval from Wayne County to do that because they're accessing that road. Wayne County has warned them if they're providing additional traffic issues at Maben and Canton Center, then Wayne County will rescind their approval to use that road. But, that was an issue because when the daycare center was approved, it was approved under the premise that they were accessing Ford Road and the accesses onto Maben were emergency only. There's actually gates for emergency access only for fire and ambulance. So, they did have a holdup from MDOT getting the permits and getting the approvals to put the culvert in and getting the Ford Road improvements done. Wayne County does have to, you can't hold them up forever, but they've also dragged their feet, and we're trying to work with them to the best degree we can and hold their feet to the fire and getting the work done.
And there's absolutely no possibility of cross-access from the mall, the strip center?
No, that owner basically doesn't want all of that traffic going through his development to Ford Road because of the wear and tear and the impact of crossover parking onto his property also. Once the driveway goes into Ford Road, he may be willing to reconsider. And one reason why he kind of reneged on the initial agreement for cross-connection was because they weren't proposing any driveway to Ford Road. So I've talked to the manager of that mall, and the owner may be willing to reconsider a cross-access agreement once the driveway to Ford Road is open, and they can both use it.
Okay, all right,
And it would be true reciprocal access, so.
gotcha, okay. What's going on the south side of Michigan Avenue?
Did we
They've been
adjourn
doing a
before
lot of,
That's a township water main project. We're replacing water main along the south side of Michigan Avenue, all the way from basically Denton Road all the way over.
yeah, okay. All right, do I hear a motion to?
Can I ask a question real quick? Sorry.
Yes.
So point of process, I know that some of these things go before the township board to vote on, and we look at the minutes, but they aren't approved minutes.
Right.
So how do we, I know this board has never really changed the minutes, I've never seen that, but I know we have on the township, on the board level. So is there a reason that we do that? It's okay.
Well, it would hold up the projects for another month while waiting for you guys to approve minutes before we send it on to the township board. So, we've always, provided draft minutes, to the board members so they know what, discussion was at the planning commission level. The board liaison is also, you're the board liaison to, pass on any words of wisdom to the, or
Words of wisdom.
perspectives to the, from the planning
We're
commission to the
relying on
township
you.
board, so.
Okay.
So we've never, ever waited for approved minutes from the planning commission to go to the board.
Okay. Just to let everybody know, there's a transportation bonanza, which I'm going to this week. Jeff's group usually went, but they're looking at basically how you build roads through townships and cities based on school routes and things like that. So I'll give everybody the information when I'm done.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Any support? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you
Okay.
very
Great.
much, folks.
Thank you.
Anne Marie.